What's up, everybody? It's Monday, January 11th. This is Zach Cry. Welcome to the Jam Space Podcast. Check this shit out.
All the second stage tanks now pressurized. 35 seconds and counting. We are still go 30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sun don't shine. Got a palm full of things that will blow your mind. How am I supposed to waste my time with feet that step and teeth that grind? Down in the valley where the sun don't shine. How's it going, everybody? That's just a little sneak preview of some stuff we've been cooking up. Got a little solo album coming at you guys in the very near future. I recorded this as a one-man project. That means I did all the instruments on every song. The man I recorded this stuff with, his name is Adrian Matthews, and he's going to be our guest on the show today. Adrian is an audio engineer. He studied at CRAS up here in Tempe. That's the Conservative for Recording Arts and Sciences. I met him down there in Yuma, Arizona while I was living there. He recorded a band that I really liked called Vinkman's Ghost. Cool desert rock act based in Yuma, Arizona. Check them out if you've never heard of them. They got all the elements that I look for in a cool band. They got the desert rock vibes, very bassy, very groovy. So when I heard their album Desert Creatures, I wanted to know who recorded that because that's how I wanted my album to sound. Initially, we tried to record some Who Do I Kill material with Adrian, but that never panned out like it was supposed to. I did end up going back by myself and cutting this 5-song EP that we're going to be releasing this year. Another cool thing about Adrian is that he is an high school audio engineer teacher, so he teaches young kids about this stuff, and I was real interested to hear what's kind of going on in the younger community with these kids, like where their head is at, how they feel about all this stuff, because it's just a total different generation. They got all these tools at their fingertips that we never had, or certainly much more so than we had when we were younger. So anyways, it's a good episode. Adrian's a very cool guy. I enjoyed working with him very much. I think he did a great job. Definitely get him on all his social media. It's at Another Msooth Mix on Instagram and Adrian Matthews on Facebook and Twitter. Let's get into it.
Hey, how's it going, man?
What's up, Adrian? How are you?
Doing great.
Good, man. It's good to hear from you. Thanks for being on here, man. This is the Jam Space Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. It's good to hear from you, man. I'm glad that you're doing well. So how's everything going over there in Yuma?
Well, things are a little unusual right now with the pandemic.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit. You are a teacher. You teach audio engineering to high school students, right?
I do. So I teach music and audio production. Like in the third year of the program, and it was going well. right? And then this whole year just kind of like threw everybody for a loop. So it's been difficult to uh, try to teach the students while they're online. Music and audio production, it's a hands-on class. Like, you got to be in the lab working on the equipment, um, to really get the most out of it. And we've had to move everything online, so kids are on Google Meets, and we've just been trying to push forward and find a way to still get them the information, still get them the content, with this new way of learning. So it's been a challenge, but we're pushing through.
That's good, man. That's good to hear. Does it look like? Do you have any sort of inside scoop? Does it look like it's gonna clear up in the months to come? That we're gonna get back to some sort of normalcy, or do you have any idea?
Uh, Honestly, from everything that we're hearing, it's going to be like this for a while. Like, really, I feel that, like, before we, from the education standpoint, before we get back to anything normal, we're probably going to see some kind of, mandatory vaccinations and, things of that nature before we're like fully back on campus and, uh, working and teaching the way that we're used to. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out. Um, so that's why I would definitely, encourage people to, just do your part. Take ownership of your own health and safety, and do what you need to do to protect, yourself, your family, and those closest to you.
Absolutely. And I just want to touch on the school thing for a little longer. How is it teaching high school kids audio engineering? Because they didn't have that when I was in high school. I would have loved to have had that class.
I hear that a lot from people our age,
Hmm.
because it was the same for me in high school. I had this passion, this love for music, but I didn't have any classes like that. All my uh, the way I learned was just going to friends' houses after school and working on music. So it, it's definitely a blessing to have this program. I think one of the challenges is helping these high school students, these 14, 15-year-old, students, helping them see the long-term goal. Because we're also in this age of uh, everybody wants everything right now,
Instant
right?
gratification.
They want instant gratification. They want to know, they want the quick, easy way, the shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
And with music, with audio production, it's like you
Does
have to have that foundation. You have to have that foundational knowledge to be able to move forward and experiment, and be able to make the music that you want to make.
which takes time and
So
patience.
exactly, exactly. So that's the challenge right now, getting them to understand that, hey, once you have the foundational knowledge, that's when it gets fun. Once you understand what you're doing, that's when it's exciting to work on music.
So I was already like writing a lot of music and stuff by the time I was 14 and 15. Do you have any students that have a lot of potential? Will they have like original music, anything like that?
Absolutely. So that's one of the things I really look for. Those are the students that I really try to pull out, every ounce of potential from them, because you have the kids that have been taking guitar classes, or they've just been playing on their own or writing their own songs, and so I'll really kind of like press them and push them to ask the questions, to show me their music, show me what they're working on, so that way we can work on making it better and getting them to that next level. And so I really enjoy having those students in my class, because typically those are the kids that they're the ones that want to learn. They're thirsty for the knowledge. They've been doing it on their own already, and now they're ready for that next step.
And out of all these kids, what do you think is like, what's the main genre of music that these kids are into?
It's definitely a mix. I have to say that I do get I have a lot of the kids that are into the rap that's out right now, but then I also have a lot of musicians that are recording everything from country to rock to metal. So it's definitely a mixture of students. And um, what's really fun about that, uh, when we're in normal, learning environment, when we're in the classroom, in the lab, it gives these kids a chance to collaborate with one another and learn things about music that maybe they wouldn't have learned otherwise had they not been, working cross genre.
Right. Oh yeah, that's very important. And I think the lines are so blurred now, man. I mean, I heard a song the other day on the radio and I couldn't tell you what fucking genre it was, man.
Yep.
It sounded like hip hop, but then it had a little like punk rock vibe underneath it, and then he started screaming like some freaking metal music and I'm like, "What?" You know, they just threw it all
Yeah.
in the blender, man.
Isn't that the beauty of music right now, though?
Yeah,
There are no rules.
there's
The only
something for
rule is
everybody.
make great music.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I kind of envy like what's happening right now in today's hip hop and shit because they really don't have rules, and they're making hit songs on iPhones and shit like that. And then
Yeah,
whereas
and two, I mean, if you look at country music or rock music, we're starting to see some of that happen. I mean, you listen to a country song now, you're hearing like 808 drums in country songs, and
oh
uh,
yeah,
rock music. We're getting a lot more infusion of electronic production. So
absolutely.
it's definitely it's interesting to watch it evolve. And
Yeah,
I always encourage the kids to innovate and think outside the box.
yeah. New rock and roll is kind of lost on me, man. So I might be one of the problems with keeping it in its spot. I just, there's so much. That's the beauty of today as well, is that we can go back as far as we want and listen to any kind of music. We don't have to listen to what's out right now. We don't
Yeah.
have to listen to what's on the radio. Like, I got up this morning and I was jamming the Supremes, bro.
Yeah.
I've been on a oldies kick, man. I really like listening to ladies sing right now.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a blessing and a curse, because we're in this time where it's become so much easier to create music, right? So we have a lot more options out there of music to listen to, but at the same time, not all the music is good.
Yeah, it's a
So like,
very low barrier of entry right now.
yes,
And these
yes,
young kids that are more tech savvy, that are growing up with this shit at their fingertips, man, they're pretty good with it, And this is a whole new style, and the way they
yep,
work is very innovative and just new school. And then we grew up without all that shit, so I'm still very
yep.
much in the old school. I'm try to pay attention to current trends and stuff like that with music and stuff. But the music I listen to and the music I write is very much like an old school feeling. Not very innovative, I'll admit.
And
But
I hear you on that, because I catch myself, because I'm an old soul as well. So I grew up. There was a way that music was made. There was there was a process involved. And like the kids nowadays, they're not so much like worried about that. They're more concerned about like the feel of the music and just getting the results, no matter how they're achieved.
mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I catch myself like, oh well, you can't do that. That's not the right way to do that. And then I have to step back and look at, what, the fact that they're actually even creating music. I can't be mad at that.
Right. Who are we to say? Uh,
But yeah, I still, and as an engineer, I mean, I have to stay up with the trends, because if not, I'll get behind. But at the same time, I still like to maintain, that old school feel, that old way of doing things,
right. Yeah, because
because it's familiar.
that's the predicate of all this. Everything was
Yep.
built upon that, and that's why we are where we are today.
Yep.
I talk to more and more people that make rock music that are kind of starting to um, adopt this train of thought where, like, yeah, man, like, whereas rock has been like delivering albums for years, and then
Yeah.
hip hop just releases a new song every so often. They got a new song, and the new song is like talking about stuff that's trending right now. There's almost like product placement in it and shit, and that's what keeps it
Yep.
fresh. And they're always evolving. Like even the terminology and the slang that they use is all built.
Yep.
Like you had Lil Wayne back in the day talking about bling bling, And now here we
Yeah.
are fucking 10, 20 years later, and they're going, brrr, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just builds off the last thing. And rock doesn't really progress like that for some reason. But I think most rock music is sort of an homage back to an homage back to the 70s, you know?
Mhm.
That's what we're kind of doing is like Sabbath worship. But I talk to more and more rock musicians that are like, nah, man, I want to fucking sort of adopt the hip hop model, you know, where they constantly releasing tracks. And then I even heard a
Yeah.
guy saying the other day how he wants to release music like a hip hop artist, but tour like a rock band. And I'm like, yeah, that's where I'd like to be too. Because I don't.
It, it,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead,
No,
brother.
I'll let you finish.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I don't really see like rappers go on like long world tours like that. I think maybe now more often they are, but like it's always been like the big rock bands like always on tour, never ending tour, and then they'll drop a whole album like once every year or two, and
Mhm.
then tour to support that album, you know, for a whole tour cycle, and then go back in the studio and do another album. And it seems like these rappers are just kind of like cutting the track, release that track, really pump that track up, and then before it starts to run out of momentum, you already got the next track ready, and you're just dropping it. And it seems like it's a lot easier to do that now with the distribution services at our fingertips. You know, I use
Yep.
DistroKid now, so I pay a yearly subscription, and I can upload as many tracks as I want, and they go to all the streaming services fairly quickly. And
Yeah.
that's all kind of like unfolding for me right now, and I'm just trying to look at it from another perspective, you know.
Well, I mean, you're right. The way that music is distributed has definitely changed, and I think that's because the way that listeners are consuming music has changed. So even with rock music, now the listeners, they're not waiting on albums, right? It's not like back in the day where we had, limited access to, our favorite artists. It's like now with social media, you have to constantly put yourself in front of your audience,
Right.
right? They want content, and so it's shifted the thinking to where you can't sit there and wait to a year, 3 years to put out an album, right? You'll lose your audience. So that's why you see the rappers every quarter they're releasing something. So whether that's uh, music or video content, something's being released every quarter.
And it's more socially you know, the content is very like social, what they're talking
Yes.
about a lot of the times, whereas like rock and roll, it doesn't really comment on the social status as much as just goes into like cosmos and fucking, you know, just they're not really talking about that stuff. And
Which
then
is interesting because if you think about, you go back to the 60s and 70s, a lot of rock music was very uh,
activists.
social political.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So,
The whole that
so
was the
do you think that we'll see a kind of a move back towards that?
well, you know, once Clear Channel bought all the fucking radio stations and shit like that, and then with the Telecommunications Act that Bill Clinton signed,
Yeah.
Clear Channel bought all the radio stations, and then they put a big list of songs that they're not allowed to play, and John Lennon Imagine was on that list, you
Oh
know.
wow.
And I think that might have something to do with the decline of like political activism in rock music, you know, because these mainstream radio stations are only going to push what they're allowed
Yeah.
to. So
Yeah.
it's sort of a conspiracy, but I mean, if you really look at it, that's what's going on. And then another thing I wanted to touch on is that hip hop music gives you a much more free palette to write lyrics over, whereas rock music you're more constricted to these melodies, shorter lines, shorter verses, and
Mhm.
rap you don't really you're not confined in that way. You have a much more free area to express yourself, and it's easier to get a message across like that.
But that's interesting too, because if we look at, the hit records, the hip hop rap records that are out, they're not really talking about anything.
Right, yeah, they're all talking
So it's
about
like,
the same shit right now,
yeah,
for sure.
it's all the same bullshit. So it's like they've got the freedom, but they're not using it.
Right, and that might also have something to do with the gatekeepers and who's really letting us hear what, because there's a huge
So it's
underground
it's kind of
scene.
it's kind of the same thing
Yeah.
with the rock music, right? They're still only allowing certain things to be heard.
Yeah, that was like back in the day. Like Too Short came out, and he was saying how like he wanted to write more socially aware songs, and the label they would have shelved that shit. They wanted him to just keep making those hits
Yep.
about fucking and stuff.
Yep.
And, yeah, that's wild, man. So you obviously work more with hip hop artists.
I have, but honestly, um, the majority of the work that I've done is surprisingly with you know, rock bands, reggae, um, and that was one of the things I kind of found as like my niche kind of. Um, so when I moved back to Yuma and I started my recording studio, I was kind of looking at the Yuma scene and saying, okay, like what does Yuma need? And my original goal, yeah, was to work with hip hop artists. But I quickly found out that, a lot of the hip hop artists, they're already like recording at home on their own. And so like getting them to come in and like work on, projects was difficult. But on the rock side with like the actual bands and musicians, there's not a lot of places for them to go here in Yuma to record quality music. And so that's why I kind of settled on, really targeting that demographic, the live band, and giving them the place to come with, was comfortable, um, where they could get a quality recording, or where they can record in an environment that's like being in their own house, but they're going to get that professional quality.
Nice. And what are some of the more notable bands that you've worked with out there in Yuma?
So some of the first, one of the first bands I worked with out here was Venkman's Ghost. They kind of gave me my first shot, and they invited me into that world. And before I did their project, I had never worked with like a rock band, and so it was a learning process for both of us.
And this is the
And
Desert Creatures album, right?
yeah, so this was the Nightmares and Daydreams.
Oh, okay.
So that was the first project that we did, and it was eye opening. So like on my part, I definitely learned a lot from working on that album, and I guess they liked what I did enough to ask me to do the second one, the Desert Creatures, and I was able to apply everything that I learned working on the first one to the second one, to Desert Creatures, and that album came out great.
Yeah, and
So
that's
that kind
how
of
that's how I heard about you, was from Vinkman's Ghost and their album Desert Creatures, which is such a good album. It sounds so good, man. Like I couldn't believe that you really didn't work with too many rock acts up until that point, because it has a great sound to it. And I reached out to them to find out where they recorded that thing, and that's how I met you.
yeah, and I'm grateful to them for that, because same thing. Like a lot of people didn't. Well, one, they didn't have anywhere to record, and then two, like Venkman's Ghost giving me kind of like that credibility with the rock scene, be able to say that, hey, even though he's not a typical rock guy, he can handle your project, and so I'm very thankful for that.
For sure. And me and Angel went over there to cut an album with you. Before we tried to work together once, and then kind of just fell by
Yeah,
the wayside. And then I came back out there Shit, I think I was already living up here in Phoenix. Yeah,
Yep.
I was traveling back and forth to Yuma to run sound for my dad out there, doing all those oldies bands and shit. And so
Yeah.
since I was traveling back and forth, I'm like, man, I'm gonna cut an album out here with Adrian. You know, it's something that I wanted to do as a solo project. It's actually some stuff that I've already got released on Spotify right now. The title track, All the Same. Just shot a
Yep.
video for that. Gonna be releasing that uh, in January, coming soon. So let's get into that a little bit, man. I loaded all my shit up in my little car, man, and drove it all the way down here. I had a whole band of gear in my little Toyota Corolla.
I remember you pulling up.
Yeah, and yeah, man. I don't know if you really knew what to expect that I was coming to do this one man thing, or what did you think about it when I got started with everything?
I mean, initially, I was just surprised that you were coming down to do it because I knew that you had moved to Phoenix, and like my first thought was like, damn, there's a lot of studios in Phoenix. Like that area is like saturated, and like personally, I know like quite a few um, very talented, competent engineers out in the Phoenix area. So like number one, I was like extremely humbled that you even driving down to do that, given that you had the opportunity to go anywhere in the Phoenix area, and you would got a great sounding album.
See, my thing
And
is,
then
I like to keep a grassroots kind of foundation, man. I like to work with
I hear that.
people I know and that I like, and I build a relationship with, man. You know, and
That
and the rising tide kind of raises all ships. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
I like to use that mentality. So if we work together from the beginning, man, I'm the kind of person that I like to carry that into the future. You know, so that's why I reached out to you, man.
And thank you. And I think that I'm glad you mentioned that because that's such a huge factor when it comes to recording music. Like being comfortable, having a relationship with the artists or with the engineers, the people that you're working with.
Yeah, and I was
That
telling
that's
somebody
something.
this. If you're just in there trying to mind your P's and Q's, and you know you don't really know, you can't really cut loose around whoever you're recording with.
Yeah.
You know that's gonna come across on the album. You want to get in there and just be comfortable. You know.
So that's something I always said from the beginning. Like I didn't want to become like this just revolving door of, well, I'm just gonna bring these artists in, bring these bands in just to get the money real quick and go on my way. Like I put everything that I have into every single project that I work on. I treat it as if it's my own. And part of that is like building that relationship, like understanding where the artist's mind is at, where understanding them as people, because then you can tap into uh, those different aspects that are going to come out on the records, on the songs, like understanding that, oh, hey, maybe they're going through some stuff, maybe they're going through a divorce. It's like, how do I pull that anger out in this song?
Right.
And it's like just having that connection. And so I think like when we first started working, um, I didn't set any expectations. It was more kind of let's feel this out. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can create. I mean, from our initial interactions, from when you had first come through, like I knew your vibe. Like you were a cool dude, so I was like, I'm not worried about that. But the whole one man thing, that was definitely that was probably like a first to have someone come in, play all of the instruments on the record, and do vocals. I'm not gonna lie, I was blown away. I was blown away. I've never seen that happen.
Wow. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You know that's. Uh, I feel like I got a lot of creative control when I do it like that, and then I don't really have to work around other people's schedules. Like sometimes
Mm,
I wanna be with a band, but at the same time, I like don't want to wait around. You know, I can't really wait for other
yeah,
people. So when we got the band together, we do band stuff, but whenever the band's taking a break or whatever, I feel blessed to have the talent and the wherewithal to go in and do this kind of stuff and get this. It's basically bringing the song right out of me and giving it to you exactly the way I conceived it. And with as minimal hands touching it as possible. And
Yeah.
and that's not because I don't like to work with other people or collaborate. I love collaborating. It's just when I can do that if I want to, and I really enjoy doing it and making records in this process. And that's probably the third time that I've really sat down and to set out and make an album like this. But this is the first time that I've done it in like an actual real studio with an actual producer behind me helping me out because all the other ones are just demos.
Yeah.
So I think I'm getting pretty good at it. I just went in the studio yesterday and did another thing just like what we did, man. Sort of another little one man thing. Probably going to be the follow up record for this one we cut.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that.
So we cut the album in what, one day, 1 or 2 8-hour days. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like two days. That was like a Saturday, Sunday.
5 songs, man.
Which that was scary because I'd never done that before either.
Yeah, man. Well,
It's like one of the things, something I always do, like if a band comes in, especially if like we're kind of working together for the first time, I usually I'll offer them some kind of like package deal, so that way we can work off the clock, right? So we're not like pressed for time and because that impacts the performances. Like if the musician's sitting there and they're worried about, oh hey, I only have 4 hours left and I need to get these songs recorded.
absolutely.
I think sometimes that hurts the performance.
Oh hell yeah, man! It makes you not want to experiment. It kind of restricts.
Yeah.
It confines you because you're scared to make a mistake. And,
Yep.
and if you're scared to make a mistake because the clock is ticking and every fucking minute that
Yeah.
goes by is costing you some money. But if you're scared to make a mistake, you're not gonna get the most out of that take, and
Yeah.
and you probably are gonna make a mistake. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
putting
Yeah.
the stress on you. Yeah, I know how that goes, man. We used to have a joke when we were in the studio, like, "Come on, man, time is money, dude. You're burning up the clock. We're not wasting tape anymore, but we're certainly wasting money."
Yeah. I was I will say that after those 2 days, I was shocked at how well prepared you were when you came in. Because yeah, like 2 days, I honestly didn't think it was gonna be enough time. I didn't.
Thank you, man.
And
When I come to make a record, I come to make a record.
yeah, I know that now.
Hell yeah.
But we came in, knocked out those drums, and you got on the bass, and the way your pace, the way you were moving, like it was definitely it challenged me as an engineer to keep up. 'Cause,
That's
you never want to be the hindrance in a session, right? You don't want the artist or like the band like waiting on you to set your shit up,
for sure.
and it ended up working out.
I definitely have had a lot of practice in my bedroom doing that, man. Just flying across to different instruments. I got a family and I work full time, so time is money. When I get 15,
Absolutely.
yeah, when I get 20 minutes to myself, man, I try to cut a song real fast. I'll just jump from one instrument to the other real fast and have a little demo ready in half an hour. Oh, I lost Adrian. Let me call him back one more time.
Is that me or you?
I don't know what happened, but it's all good, man. No worries. Hey, Adrian. We're pretty much there. I just wanted to touch on Crass for a minute, man. The conservative
Okay.
recording arts studio in Phoenix, Arizona. I thought about going there, but I'm at a point in my life right now where I just don't think school is for me. I still love audio engineering and recording. I do want to learn and get better, but I just don't think school is the right move. But I did record there at Crass. We used a board that a lot of bands recorded on back in the day. Metallica recorded "And Justice for All" on there.
Yeah,
Primus recorded on there. I think Lenny Kravitz, all kinds of bands. So it's a very,
yeah, that,
very cool campus, man. A lot of studios in there. Very cool. I wouldn't mind going, but I just wanted to hear. Let's just talk about your time there, and then anybody thinking about going, if you have any like information or suggestions for them or anything like that.
yeah, sure. Um, like I attended Crash back in 2012, so it's like right after I got out of the military, and I was in kind of the same spot. Like I was looking for my next move, like what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do audio production professionally, and I'd been looking at crafts for a few years. So I applied, got accepted, and I did have the benefit of having the GI Bill pay for it, so I didn't have to come out of pocket. So that was a good
Nice.
thing. But anyone that wants to go, I wouldn't let that be a deterrent because um, there's still they'll accept financial aid, and there's other things that they offer, other financial assistance that they offer through the school. So definitely don't let that stop you. But during my time there, like I just made it a point to uh, get everything that I could out of it. So again, like I said, because I was on the GI Bill, um, I'd gotten a severance pay when I got out of the military, so I had some money to live off of. So that really allowed me to um, really dive deep into my learning. So I spent a lot of time after hours in the lab. Some of the higher cycle students. So back when I was there, it was set up so it was 10 cycles. So each cycle you're in a different studio, you're learning different audio fundamentals. So as a higher cycle student, you're allowed to uh, basically like sign out the studio for the night, and you can go and work on your own projects. So I would spend a lot of time in those studios. I would go help those higher cycle students basically intern on their sessions because I wasn't allowed to use the facilities myself yet. And that's why I learned a lot of information just watching those sessions, um, asking questions. And so that's really the benefit over a lot of the other schools, the access that they give you to the facilities. And so I would highly recommend anyone that's seriously pursuing or considering a career in audio production, music production, live sound, um, broadcast sound. Definitely consider craft. Um, the the hands-on education that you're going to get you can't compare it to anything else. On top of that, the the greatest thing about it, part of your graduation requirement is that you have to do a 3 month internship, and they kind of let you pick where you want to go for your internship based on where you want to start your career, um, and kind of based on your grade. So obviously they're not going to send you somewhere that you're not going to excel at. Um, because I spent so much time on campus, I did well. I had good grades, and I knew I wanted to go out to the LA area. So I did get the opportunity to do that.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
yeah, so it was great that it was kind of a right place, right time. Right, they had a studio contact the school like, hey, we're looking for intern. I happened to be graduating right at that same time, and I was able to grab an internship and really get my start and get me to where I'm at now.
So while you
But
were doing that intern or any time that you've been in the learning process, have you worked with anybody of like real notable status along the way?
I definitely did. I definitely did. My first my internship when I first got out to LA, um, I basically got out there like 9, 10 o'clock. Uh, middle of the week. I think it was like a Wednesday. And I just text the engineer that I was supposed to be, interning for. Like, hey, I'm in town. Let me know if you need anything. And I wasn't supposed to meet up with him until like Saturday. I think that was my actual interview date. And he's like, well, if you're not doing anything, can you come by the studio right now? So I was like, yeah, sure. At the time, I didn't know anybody out in L.A. I had nothing to do. I was just sitting in this shitty hotel room in a really like sketch part of L.A. And so I was like, yeah, anything to get out of here. So I head to the studio. I meet the producer that we're working for. So we were actually working for hip hop producer Diesel.
All right.
He actually produced pretty much all the records on Lil Wayne's Carter 3. Did Lollipop.
Okay.
So it was a great opportunity. So I sit down and meet him. He's like, how good are you in Pro Tools? And I'm like, well, I feel I'm pretty decent, but I've never worked in in this type of environment. He's like, all right, good, because engineer's going on vacation tonight, so I need you to take over.
Nice.
So it was that fast.
That's amazing.
And so it was a beautiful thing to be able to sit in on those sessions. And I won't lie, like the first week that I was there, like interning, it was literally just like a whirlwind of like a who's who, of artists just coming through the door. And looking back, I was a little starstruck, but I didn't have time to kind of like dwell on it because I was so nervous. I was just like telling myself, don't fuck up. That's kind of the key to keeping your job. As long as you don't fuck up, you're good. Like you don't have to do anything extraordinary. You don't got to be the some amazing, recording engineer right out the gate.
Right.
No, just don't fuck up.
You're in there already, and that just goes to show you, man. If you follow your dreams, man, you work hard for it, you arrive. A lot of people think that it's a pipe dream or that things are too far fetched just because the things that you want to do with your life aren't like traditional, man. There's not really a trajectory path of how to get from A to B. You can't just go get a degree and then now boom, you're a doctor. You know what I mean? It's not like that for artists. And then that's a good testimony, man. You go to school, you learn your thing, you work hard, boom, now you're in LA and you're around all these people that you've been looking up to, respecting for so long. That's awesome, Adrian. Hey, I'm glad that I could have you on today, man. I just want to, you want to let anybody know where they can reach out to you if they want to contact you for any recording or anything like that? You got any Instagram or social media, anything like that?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's Another Msooth Mix. So DM me. I'm also on Facebook, but I think my Facebook page is private. I kind of keep that to,
Yeah, I prefer Instagram when dealing with the public.
So Instagram's the best spot to reach me. And I'm open to work.
Well, hey Adrian, thank you so much for being on the Jam Space podcast. We're gonna be releasing this in January, and I really look forward to working with you again in the future, man. Thank you for everything that you're doing with the youngsters for audio engineering, and I hope you have a good day, brother.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Take it easy.
You too.
All right, that's the episode for the week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks everybody for listening to the Jam Space Podcast. You can find us on all social media. You can go to jamspacepodcast.com. I'm going to get working on that website, man. You get a lot of cool stuff on there. We're just now getting this podcast up and running. So once again, thanks everybody for listening. I do want to give another shout out to John and the guys from Holy Death Trio. Thank you guys so much for having me over. It was a blast, but I do have something I want to talk about, man. And that's, I was listening to the last podcast that I put out with Daniel when we were driving out of Austin, and Just didn't really like the tone, you know. That's not the tone that I'm going for with this podcast. We're not looking to vent frustrations on here, you know. We can do that shit in a fucking diary or something. So that's not where we're going with this. On another note, hanging out on New Year's Eve over there at John and them's place. Zach got a little wasted, man. I was flying high, let's say that. And I almost fully turned into the guy out of the Bad Vibrations video, man. Have you been keeping up with the podcast? Have you been listening to the episode I did with John Rosales? We're talking about their new music video, Bad Vibrations. Check it out on YouTube. Very cool video. The spot we were hanging out was the actual set of the video. And the whole narrative, man, the main character, the Bad Vibes guy, I hate to say it, but I started slipping into that role a little bit, man. That Lone Star beer gets me fucked up over there, man. And when I get around my guys, man, my friends I haven't seen in a long time, I start cutting loose, and I start cutting way loose. So if I cut too loose, I apologize. But that shit had me feeling some kind of way like the entire week after that. I've been thinking about it all week, and that's not the person I want to be, you know? So I do apologize, mainly to myself, because I flew a long way out there to see you guys and hang out and stuff, and then just got a little too carried away with the booze, and before you know it, the night was over, man, and I was out of there, and I don't know what kind of impression I made on any of you guys, but I wanted to make a good one, and I don't feel like I put my best foot forward. Let's just leave it at that, and we're moving on. Another thing about, seeing my bros and cutting loose is that I haven't really made friends like that out here in Phoenix since I moved here. I've been here for almost 3 years, and I've just been working my ass off day in and day out, and I don't know what the plan was when I got to Phoenix, but I don't think in my mind I saw myself really settling down here. I think I might have even been a little afraid of settling down, period. So I didn't afford myself the opportunity of going out and mingling and making real friends. And I've even started to join a few bands here and there and just totally flaked. And that's because I just wasn't sure if this was my place. You know, you can't live two lives at once, obviously. So, to be standing here and always looking over there, I don't think that's good, man. You're not living in the moment. And on that note, I decided I'm going to buckle down, I'm going to bite the bullet, and we're going to buy us a place out here in the valley. So my wife and I are very excited about that. That's some good news on the family front. If I just get a little personal with you guys, that's what we do here on the Jam Space podcast. This is Zach Cry talking to you. And there's a lot of things in my mind have kind of clicked now that I've finally decided, to buckle down and spread some roots here. Because for the longest time, I thought I'd go back to Texas. I didn't think that I'd be here permanently, but life has other plans for you, man. And my life has kind of taken on a life of its own, and I just got to roll with it. I want to get out of my own way, and I just want to do my part to, raise my kids and have a good life. And if I can get out and play a couple shows here and there, that's great. This podcast is what's going to keep me tied to music and my hobbies and stuff. So here's a list of people that I would like to interview that I wrote down. It's not quite like a New Year's resolution. And it's not all the people that I want to have on the show, but there's just a handful of people that I would like to have to talk to, to get down to the stone cold truth on the Jam Space podcast. So here's a list that I wrote down. I'd like to talk to Chris Beck on Why We Podcast. I'd like to talk to Mark Zola from Pink Cocoon about stoner rocking in Canada and how he's dealing with the quarantine, what it's like to be a one-man band, and playing all the roles, wearing all the hats. I want to talk to Matt Bacon because I don't always necessarily agree with the the TikTok approach, and I'd love to just bounce ideas off of him and hear what he has to say. Buddy Donner and Gloria Death Records, or even the entire crew of Great Electric Quest. I love those guys. That'd be such a cool episode, I think. I'd love to have Mucho Drums. Talk about the LA scene, his history with drums, what he does with printing and stuff. I'd love to talk about all that. The guys at Workhorse Magazine, Dirty Streets out of Memphis, Kyle Jewett from Mothership out of Dallas, Texas. I'd love to talk to Damon Caraway from Gravitoy. And I think one of the bigger episodes for me, if I could talk to Blasco, I think that would be awesome. And if I could talk to Tony Reed, that would be the shit. And so yeah, I do have ideas swirling around. I'm thinking about throwing in a solo podcast in every couple of episodes. And I'm also thinking about this collective thing because we have a group chat. And we get carried away in that group chat. It gets a little bit ridiculous. So I can see us each having a couple drinks, get a little loosey-goosey, and just let the mics roll for a little bit, Have some fun on that. So got a lot of ideas spinning around. You can count on me every Monday. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week. I love this place. Let me tell you about a girl I know. Broke my heart, went to Mexico. Took all my shit, put me out in the cold, and I still ain't been back home. Take me home now. Gone above all of this place. I'm going on back home. I know it won't be